Okay, so here I am at this, I don't know how well you can see this, picnic party on beautiful Bear Creek. The historic picnic parks along Lower Bear Creek included Morrison Park, Starbuck Park, Little Park, Carwena Park, and O'Fallon Park, which is where we are. The unique fireplace in front of you once formed the gateway to O'Fallon Park and is now the park's most recognizable, if mysterious, monument. Horseback outings brought groups to this popular canyon spot for steak fries in the 40s and 50s, according to the Denver Post. And there it is. And there it is. Like I said, I only saw this because I was driving down Bear Creek Road, which is right next to Bear Creek. I have found a much nicer spot to look in. If this is the blaze, look down from the blaze, and unfortunately I've memorized most of this, so I don't have to be looking at it. Look down from the blaze and find your treasure. Now, of course, he at the end then he puts in almost like an add-on, the cold and the wood. So you almost wonder if he didn't realize he should also mention, I mean, you can't see anything from here. You just don't look down and see a treasure, right? Here are steps that would indicate that's where you go down. And I'm gonna go down, but I'm going to cross on over there, and I'm going to look in those woods over there. But then if I don't find anything, and you know, I brought workman's gloves with me, and I finally have a reason to have them. I'm going to go get my leather workman gloves so I can get in there and start. If I have to push branches around, so be it. But I have a funny feeling I'm going to end up going here on the other side, probably breaking my neck, to get to there. And I'm only saying that because of the thing about in the cold. But you know, it could be on this side of the creek down here too. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to be going down there and just looking. That's what I'm going to do. All right, there's the chimney, and I'm down here by the creek, almost in it. You know, I'm looking up at these supposed woods that I was talking about, and they're just little bushes. They're what we would, you know, weed trees, really. I don't think it's over there. I could be wrong though. I'll probably end up over there because it's only 11:15 in the morning. And I have the whole day ahead of me. So I mean, as crazy and as far out as this has gotten, I mean, this seems like, if this was some big well-known kind of thing back in the day that was considered mysterious and all, but to call it a blaze, you know, he would have been, like I said, you know, you have to remember Fenn is 87 now, I think. So, you know, back then it was in the 30s and 40s. He was a kid. He could have been brought here and had hamburgers, and this is a very big stream for fishing, huge stream for fishing. This could very well have been a favorite spot of his right along, because you get to, you know, you bring your food and you can have a outing and you can just fish. Pretty freaking cool if you think about what it was like back then for a fisherman. It's like a fisherman plus, what am I looking at over there? There's something very white here sticking out. It's kind of odd looking. I'll have to check that out too. Anyway, this is where I'm at. I never thought in a million years I'd be somewhere like this for any reason, but this is where things have taken me. I'm just going to be what's that? It's like quartz. Interesting. Okay. Later. Well, if he's talking about people being a couple of 100 feet from it, I could see what he means if he's talking about people who have told them they drove up and down Bear Creek Road, if it's down near the creek, or I suppose even if it's up here. What I've done is I am down the creek. He says look down, right? I've got to check the poem out. He says look down. So you think, okay, you look over the edge and you're gonna, wow, there it is, right on the edge of the creek. But then I thought, well, technically, look down, meaning continue looking down, because all of a sudden there's this big crop of rocks I'm in. And so, just for kicks, I thought I'd check this area out here, because I just have a feeling that he probably would have placed this there. I went down actually right next on this side of the creek, not the other side, and I found there's just bunches of rocks just like that down there, but even stacked heavier. And there are these big holes where you know, luckily I brought my flashlight, I was able to look in them, but you could have placed a chest in these holes. Now you would kind of think over 7 years people have visited this. When I was up here a few minutes ago, there was that lady with her 2 kids, so they were, for whatever reason, they were looking at it. She was the one that even told me where it was. Of course, I'm looking at it. I don't know what kind of, you do have fishermen on the creek today, so you think after 7 years though, I don't know, I just imagine people for whatever reason just poking around rocks, but really, why would they be? Especially if they don't know about Fenn's treasure. Why would they be, because even getting down there on the rocks again was ankle break time. So here I am, and I'm looking at stuff like this, and I'm going to walk around and just see. But again, going with this concept that I'm, see, there's so many more, that I'm looking down from the blaze, looking down the creek from the blaze rather than looking literally vertically. Anyway, I'm going to keep looking. I'm going to go get lunch in a second, but I'm definitely here for the rest of the day. This is very, very intriguing to me. I just got nothing else, so when I go home tomorrow morning, I'll know that I at least I'm one of the ones out here that found something kind of like a blaze, and it is mysterious, and it's even labeled as mysterious, and it goes back to fishing, and people would come fishing here and have camp cookouts in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. I got pictures of the old Model Ts and stuff. So Fenn's 87 now, and I haven't read his book. He's probably never even been up here in his life. Whatever. It's going on 12 noon, so as far as I'm concerned, I have found the blaze. It's mysterious. It's all those things we're looking for, except technically it's not a blaze. I don't know, Matt, maybe back in the day when, you know, back in the 30s and 40s and whatever. Let's walk up here real quick. I gotta get something. When was this time period? It was quite a time ago. It would have been very popular when Fenn was a kid, right? Because he was born in what did I figure out he would have been born in? 30? Okay. So this is named after Martin O'Fallon. He came to Colorado, and he had a successful plumbing company. Oh, he was on the Mountain Parks Commission. Donated 860 acres. Okay, so in the 40s and 50s, it was very popular for steak fries. But it was dedicated in 1939, so it's been here for quite a while. And there, of course, we have the ubiquitous fishermen, which you see all over this part of the country because there's so much fishing going on. But, you know, good times back in the day. Where I'm going to come back to, I'm not going to worry about that silly little, what do you call them, weed tree on the other side. If he was talking about a wood, it would have to be that. If he's talking about going through the creek from this side, I mean, it's all subjective. So anyway, I'm going to come back after lunch, and I am going to actually go over to that wood, and that's probably where I'll catch my first case of poison oak in decades, and I'll, that's what I'll bring back. It's like I went on a treasure hunt, and all I got was this stupid poison ivy. But I'm going to be over there after I go get something to eat later. Got to lunch on my last day looking for Fenn's treasure, starting out below the home of Molly Brown and Joseph Brown, their summer house in Greenbelt Park. I've got plenty of pictures of the creek in Greenbelt Park. I'm way above that. Well, I say way above that, miles and miles at least. Too far to walk, but not too far. Not too far, but too far to walk. So this is the same creek, and here it is going down. I'm heading down this creek to get some lunch, and then I'll be back, and I'll be on this side of the creek, below that mysterious, as it itself says on the placard, barbecue pit from the 39. I guess it was built in 1939. And this is a huge fishing. There was a woman here fly fishing when I came in, and there was a man way down there. Big fly fishing thing. Alright. If you ever get a chance to go to Evergreen, it's a very cool little, very crafty, artsy town right outside of Denver. I just went back there for lunch before I went back to the chimney, this thing constructed around 1940 that was basically for people from town just to come in. I don't know how big of towns are around here, maybe Denver. When people would come out here and they would, you were right beside a fantastic fishing stream, and so here was this great big chimney that with 3 different fireplaces that you could cook. You could cook your fish, you could do anything. I didn't really find it mysterious at all. I just realized that the guy who donated the land generously, he was a millionaire back in the day, had just basically set up a place to cook your meals right beside the fishing stream. Not really mysterious, but it's quite large though, so it accommodated quite a few people at a time. The point I'm trying to make is though, so I'm sitting in there and I'm looking at eating my at the Muddy Buck. I was at the Muddy Buck having my quesadilla. I thought, well, I better freshen up. There it is. I said I better freshen up on the chimney on any clues. And so I open up. These aren't from the poem, but these are from things that he has said. Not in a structure, not near a structure. So at this point, I guess I'm not really taking it seriously enough, or I'm not being, I got caught up in the thrill of the moment, like finding this mysterious blaze on the side of this creek. I'm convinced is part of this whole treasure hunt. And then, of course, if I had just taken 2 seconds to check the clues, I guess he has said during interviews, I would have immediately known not to even pursue it any further. But it seemed like a good idea at the time. So friends, I've got to say, I'm pretty much done with this. I just had a great quesadilla. Go to Muddy Bucks if you're ever in Evergreen. I had a ham and Swiss cheese croissant with a big cup of dark roasted coffee this morning for $6.50. I think it cost me, I got change back with $7. I was kind of like, really? And then I went and had this ridiculously large quesadilla, part of which I'm bringing home to the hotel, and another big coffee, and it was like 11 something. So really, a really nice restaurant, the Muddy Buck. So shout out to the Muddy Buck. Anyway, I think I'm going to go to the Museum of the Browns up in the middle of Denver, and then I'm going to call it a night. I got to get out of here at extremely early in the morning to catch a 5 a.m. flight, and this has taught me a heck of a lot. I am now taking an entirely different view of this entire poem, treasure chest, the whole thing. I have to really rethink my way of approaching the kind of the level that you have to think like. I'm starting to think that guy who was showing the picture, that he could see a picture of the owl in the topographical map of the Rockies, might not have been off the, guys like him could very well know what they're talking about, because for Fenn to say using Google Earth could help, I mean, they had Google Earth in 2010, correct? And Fenn is apparently always on his laptop and stuff, so it's not beyond the pale of imagination that he was using things like that to kind of figure out his clues. But that kind of gets back to probably stuff I'll finish up on when I get this tied up in the next day or two, as far as doing some of the finishing up this video. I just think the clues are too vague. I really do. There's something about the fact that, okay, nobody's found it in 7 years, and Fenn himself has said, well, hey, if they haven't found it in 500 years, that's great for me. I mean, that's kind of the attitude he had. And maybe that's just kind of his offhand way of dealing with everything. That's kind of like, okay, everything's good, that's good. If someone finds it, it's good. And that is kind of what I've heard him say. If someone finds it today, great. If someone doesn't find it, great. If someone finds it in 500 years, great. If they're still looking in 500 years, great. But the thing I would have to say at that point is, why are people still looking for this in 500 years, Mr. Fenn? I'm not even saying he meant it in that direct a way. He was kind of, I think, responding again to an interview question where he has a tendency to just kind of say, great, whatever, great, it's not my problem. I put the treasure out there, and I agree with him in that sense. But he has thought about calling this off. I don't know, and I'm not being sour grapes on this at all. There's nothing in the world to stop me from going home, re-examining everything, and making my next vacation another really cool trip. There's nothing like a vacation where you get to do something while you're vacationing, to kind of have, it's like, look, it's like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of like a game, like Find Where's Waldo, and it's your vacation, and it's kind of taking you all these places you didn't expect to be, like the Morrison Prehistoric Museum, Natural Museum of History, or whatever it is that I'm going back to right now to get some. Somebody asked me to get my theater magnet. Okay, so I'm going to get a theater magnet. Maybe I'll get a mug while I'm at it. But the point is, all these things come along that you look at and you see, and that's cool. But I'm really thinking hard about this poem. I think a lot of us out there, a lot of people are very excited. That they're kind of into I understand really being into it, where you can kind of think of every moment you get off, it kind of gives you something to do, to look for this. It's kind of cool. It is cool. I wouldn't be out here if it wasn't cool. I think it's cool. But the problem I have is, this poem is so vague, it just takes me all over the place. And the home of Brown is supposed to be the big clue. And I'm sure many people probably didn't even watch this video, because the minute they understood that I was talking about the Molly Brown house in Denver, they could maybe rightfully have seen all sorts of things that it wouldn't be there, that I just didn't even see. Just like I didn't, I should have immediately known that structure was not going to be anything to do with the blaze. I mean, it seemed to me like an incredible clue, but no. So I don't know. This poem is really, I just don't know how you can, outside of the home of Brown, if you can literally pin that down to a home, but you have got to have something where you can stick the pin in it and say, this is it, and this is how I get to here from there. Otherwise, we're just roaming around looking for kind of ephemeral, if that's the right word, kind of this in the wind stuff that's in our brain, but is it real? I mean, the blaze, the this, the that, in the cold, in the wood. Can you imagine what nondescript things those really are? if you're in the cold and then in the wood. I mean, that could mean anything. I don't know. A lot of it could mean anything except for Homa Brown. I really believe Homa Brown is the essential clue. And everyone seems to have a Homa Brown. And it could very easily be a range of animals like brown bear or brown trout or something. Even though I don't think it is. It could be. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'm kind of done with actually looking for treasure on this trip. I'm going to spend the rest of my afternoon here, probably in Denver, looking at cool stuff. But I have really enjoyed this trip. It's been wonderful. This is going to be pretty much outside of, I don't know, I may videotape a little more as I go into the, see some things like the original Brown House. But for all intents and purposes, looking for treasure, I'm done. But for now, I went to look out my window from my hotel. I'm going to be taking off out of here not too long. And I've seen so much, whoa, there, oh my God, that guy was fast. I don't know if you can see them. There are 3 rabbits over there to the left eating. And then there was another one on top of this hill who just ran off. But it's just amazing. There are animals absolutely everywhere, which is a real credit to this area that so many of these animals feel safe. I might have even scared the one that ran away. Oh, there's one. He's down behind that pine tree. You can't really see him, but he's down there moving around. They're all over the place. Animals, animals, animals.